Good day everyone. I hope you're all doing well, no? And I want to congratulate everyone for reaching this far in their academic journey para sa first semester. So, kapit lang kasi malapit na tayong matapos and meron pang isang semester. Pero laban lang, ganyan talaga ang buhay ng pagiging estudyante, no? Aral lang ng aral. Pero at the end, I believe na marireach din natin yung goal or yung pangarap natin sa buhay. Okay ba? Okay, so welcome everyone sa ating finals. So for this one, we will talk about two topics, no? So first, the correlation analysis, and the second one is the regression. So this time, we will just talk about the correlation analysis. Okay, so to start, let me show you our learning objectives. So at the end of the topic session, the student should be able to identify the correlation between two variables and manipulate a software application to measure and interpret the value of the correlation coefficient of the given data. So those will be our objectives, no? Na kailangan natin ma-reach para mayroon tayong matutunan para sa topic na ito. So before we proceed, let's have this simple activity. So we have here mga different scenarios, and then we need to judge if they are related to each other or not. So first is caloric intake and weight. Meron bang connection itong dalawa? Are they related or not? So the the calorie intake, no, is related to the weight of a person. So, syempre, kung kain ka ng kain and then hindi mo nabibilang ng calorie intake mo, and then kapag nasobrahan, syempre, mag-gain ka ng weight. And then kapag kulang naman, syempre, mababa lang yung weight mo. So, kaya itong first bullet here, they are related. Okay, so second bullet, your sexual preference and the type of cereal you eat. So, are they related or not? So here, the sexual preference of a person is not related to the type of cereal he or she eats. So, syempre naman, no, common sense na lang din na hindi nagabase kung babae ka ba or lalaki para sa uri ng cereal na gusto mong kainin. So, they are not related, no? Walang connect yung dalawa. So, second bullet is not related to each other. Okay, the third bullet naman, eye color and relatives eye color. So here, the eye color of a person might be related to his or her relatives eye color. Lalo na, no, kapag yung mga ganito is genetic siya, and then namamana yun siya, no, or napapasa-pasa yung genes. Kasi, so kaya medyo related itong eye color at saka yung relatives eye color mo, since konektado din naman kayo, di ba, sa relatives mo. So, this third bullet is somewhat or they are might related. Pero, we don't know if this is still true. Okay, so for the fourth bullet, dog's name and type of preferred dog biscuit. So, ano ba ito? Are they related or not? So here, the dog's name and the type of dog's biscuit are not related. So, syempre, walang connect, no? Kung ano yung pangalan ng dog para sa biscuit or yung kinakain ng aso. So, this fourth bullet are not related. Okay, so let's proceed to the fifth. The amount of time studied and score in exam, are they related or not? So, here, the amount of time a student studied has an effect on his or her score in the exam. So, medyo connected or they are related to each other. So, yung amount na na-exert or nagagamit ng student para mag-study, syempre, meron din yan siyang effect sa score mo, no? So, kapag nag-cramming ka, so ano mangyari? Depende na lang, no? Kung natsambahan or knowledgeable ka talaga sa subject ko. So, kaya papasa ka or hindi ka papasa sa exam. So, this second to the last bullet are somewhat, no? They are related. And the last one, strict attendance rules and students' performance. So here, students' performance is affected by strict attendance rule. So syempre kapag strict yung teacher or kailangan makasunod sa rule yung student, so syempre it will affect yung students' performance. So those are the simple activity or the simple overview, no, para sa topic natin, which is the correlation analysis. Okay, so to start, ano ba itong correlation and correlation coefficient? So by definition, correlation is a measure of the relationship between two variables. It is a measure of how things are related, and it is the study of how variables are correlated is called the correlation analysis. So here, meron tayong two variables na kailangan natin i-test, no, if they are connected or they are related to each other, just like sa mga different examples natin kanina. So, kaya, if we need to measure kung ano yung relationship ng dalawang variable, we are using the correlation. And then, yung study of how variables are correlated is what we call the correlation analysis. Okay, so the following are the common applications now of correlation analysis in business and social sciences. So here are the followings. So first, so I believe or siguro hindi ko na ito babasahin lahat, no? And I will give it to you as your reading assignment lang. But first, babasahin ko na itong first bullet. The marketing manager wants to know if price reduction has any impact on increasing sales. So, meron bang connection yung price reduction para sa increasing sales, no? Kung mababa ba daw yung presyo ng isang item, meron ba siyang impact, no, para marami ang bibili? So, using the correlation or the correlation analysis, so the marketing manager would able to know, no, kung meron bang connection itong dalawa or are they related to each other. So, ayan. So, the important term naman na kailangan natin maintindihan para sa correlation analysis, itong correlation coefficient. So, ano ba itong correlation coefficient? So, the correlation coefficient gives a mathematical value or also known as the R value for measuring the strength of the relationship between two variables. So, the correlation coefficients have a value between -1 and 1 or -1 to 1. So, kapag 0 daw yung value, no, ng ating R value or yung correlation coefficient natin, it represents that no linear relationship between the two variables at all. So, 0. So, let's see, no, dito sa ating graph na lang. So, ayan, kapag yung R value natin is 0, okay, wait lang. Ito yung graph niya, meaning the two variables have no relationship at all. And then, kapag 1 naman yung R value natin, it means a perfect positive linear relationship. As one variable increases, the other variable also increases. So, this is the graph for our R value, no, which is equal to 1. And then, kapag -1 naman, yung R value natin, it represents an inverse relationship or perfect negative linear relationship. As one variable increases, the other variable decreases. So, ito yung ating graph for yung R natin, which is equal to -1. So, kapag yung R value natin is 0, no relationship siya, scatter yung data natin sa pag-graph, no? And then, kapag +1 naman, yan, positive relationship, no? Meron silang perfect positive linear relationship. And then, kapag -1 naman yung R value natin, they have perfect negative linear relationship. So, for further, So, for further na mga graphs, no, or scatter plots and correlation examples, you may refer to your handouts kasi meron doon naka-indicate ng mga different scatter plots and graph ng ating correlation coefficient. So, kindly refer na lang sa inyong handouts. Okay, so, since we are discussing about the correlation coefficient, no, we have here the table for the different interpretation kapag yung value ng ating R or yung correlation coefficient is this one. So, kapag 1, syempre, perfect positive correlation. 0, no correlation. -1 is perfect negative correlation. And there are many more variables, no, or values para sa ating correlation coefficient. And these are the following interpretation niya. So, You may screenshot it, no? Or you may take it, or you may sulat it sa notebook niyo. So, ayan. Okay, let's proceed. So, let's have an example, no? How can we apply or paano natin magamit yung correlation coefficient? So, first, we have here a first scenario. So, the height and weight of 10 students were recorded and plotted in a graph. If the correlation coefficient is 0.673 and the graph are as shown, how will you describe this correlation between their heights and weights? So, dito, okay, meron tayong data, no? Meron tayong table. So, yan, ito yung table natin. And then, meron siyang given na correlation coefficient, which is 0.673. So, ano daw yung correlation between their heights and weights? So, balik tayo sa ating table. So, again, 0.673, no? So, saan dito ngayon, based sa ating table, na belong yung correlation coefficient? So, 0.673 man siya. So, therefore, nandito siya between nandito na side, 0.70 to 0.31. So, therefore, merong moderate positive correlation, no? Yung height at saka weight between sa mga, ayan, sa data na given. And then, based din sa graph, no, na pinakita, so if we plot it or connect those one or make an imaginary line, so meron siyang positive na correlation. So therefore, if one variable increases, the other variable also increases. And then based sa ating table, they have moderate positive correlation. So since hindi man sila scattered or they are not close enough, no, bit sa ating line na imaginary line, and then katag-katag tong data nato, so kaya meron na silang moderate positive correlation. Okay. And then the second one naman is this one. The correlation coefficient of weight and waist size of 10 friends was calculated and obtained a value of 0.9438. How will you describe the correlation between their weights and waist size? Okay, so meron tayong given dito na correlation coefficient which is 0.9438. Okay, balikan natin yung table. 0.9438. Tama ba? Yan, 0.9438. So, saan dito siya nabilong? So, nabilong yung 0.9438 dito, no? Ayan, 0.99 to 0.71. So, therefore, merong high or strong positive correlation between the weights and the waist size. So, meaning, meron daw connection or related yung weight mo sa waist size mo. Pero that is based sa given na information. So, that's for the correlation coefficient, no? So, we may just use itong table para ma-interpret natin yung value ng ating R or R value or also known as the correlation coefficient. Okay, so let's talk about ngayon itong Pearson's product moment correlation. How can we solve para sa correlation coefficient or yung R value natin? Okay. So, by definition muna, Pearson's product moment correlation is a measure of the strength of a linear association between two continuous variables and is denoted by R. So, ayan, sorry no if medyo maingay yung background ko. Okay, so continue. The Pearson's product moment correlation coefficient can be used if the variables can be measured at the interval or ratio level, and there is no significant outliers, and also the variable should be approximately normally distributed. So, yun lang yung mga kailangan natin tandaan, no? And then, this one is the parang simple flow chart, how we use yung Pearson's R or Pearson's product moment correlation or yung R value natin. So, I will not further discuss it, and you may read it na lang, no? Kasi ito yung importante. How can we test or how can we solve for the R value? And then, specifically, the hypothesis test with Pearson's correlation. Okay, so, these are the following steps in testing the hypothesis using the Pearson's product moment correlation. So, first step, syempre, we need to state the hypothesis and set the level of significance. Step 2, calculate the degree of freedom and critical value. Step 3, calculate the test statistic or yung R value natin. Step 4, make a statistical decision. And step 5, conclude. So, let's say we have here an example, no? Ayan. Using Pearson's product moment correlation, kailangan natin ma-determine if there is a relationship between calcium intake and knowledge about calcium in sports science students. So, meron tayong table dito para sa ating data, and there are a total of 20 respondents. So, we have here a column for knowledge score, so that is out of 50, and also a column for the calcium intake. Okay, so how can we solve for this one? So, syempre, we need to state the hypothesis, no? So, for the null hypothesis, there is no significant relationship between the calcium intake and knowledge about calcium in sports science students. And for the alternative naman, there is a significant relationship between the calcium intake and knowledge about calcium in sports science students. And then, yung naset na level of significance niya is 0.05, and that is for the step 1. Step 2 naman is to calculate the degrees of freedom and the critical value. So, how can you solve for the degrees of freedom? So, since this is our data, no, meron tayo 20 respondents, right? So, to solve for the degrees of freedom, we just simply subtract the number of participants or respondents with 2. So, that is 20 minus 2. So, therefore, the degrees of freedom natin is 18. So, itong table natin, no, itong table of values, makikita natin ito siya sa handout number 2, I think. So, you may refer, no, doon sa ating handout number 2. So, ayan. So, since degrees of freedom natin is 18, and then yung alpha level natin is 0.05, so therefore, the critical value para dito, na maaari natin gamitin, no, is, ayan, 0.443763. So, degrees of freedom and then alpha level. So, how can you solve for the degrees of freedom? Simply subtract yung number of respondents with 2. So, that is n minus 2. Okay. Step 3, calculate the test statistic or yung R value natin. So, meron tayong formula, no, para ma-solve natin yung R value. So, ito yung ating formula. R is equal to summation of xy less summation of x times summation of y over the square root of summation of x squared minus summation of x raised to 2 times summation of y squared minus summation of y raised to 2, where x are the observations in x variable, y naman are the observations in y variable, x squared are the squares of x observations, y squared are the square of y observation, x, y are the product of x and y, and then n naman is the sample size. So, before we input, no, lahat ng mga information dito sa ating formula, gawa muna tayo ng table, no? So, how can you do that? So, since we have here the given, no, yung given natin na respondents, knowledge score, and the calcium intake, so, dagdag tayo ng other column para sa ating table, and that is the product of x and y. So, here, 10 times 450, that is 4,500, and then hanggang sa makaabot ka sa respondents number 20. And then, after natin mamultiply yung x at saka y, we need to add those values. So, we have 497,143. So, yan yung sum or summation nila. And then, nagdag naman tayo ng other column, which is yung square ng ating x variable or yung knowledge score natin, which is x. So, we just simply raise to 2 lang, no, yung ating x. So, here, 10 raised to 2, that is 100. 42 raised to 2, that is 1764. Hanggang sa respondents 20, which is 43. So, 43 raised to 2, that is 1,849. So, after natin ma-raise to 2 lahat ng values sa ating x, we just simply add them, no? Para malaman natin yung summation nila. So, yung summation natin dito is 19,852. Same with, no? Another dagdag naman tayo ng table or column, which is y squared. So, raise to 2 lang natin itong 450. So, we have that one, and then add natin afterwards hanggang sa matapos tayo. Okay? So, that's it, no? After natin ma-solve yung table, we can now substitute all this information sa ating formula. So, we have 20, yung n natin, diba? Which is the number of respondents dito, which is equal to 20. So, kaya 20 times the summation of xy, that is 497,143, minus yung summation ng x, which is 592, times summation of y, that is 15,702, over the square root of 20 times summation of x squared, that is 19,852, minus 592 raised to 2 naman, times 20 times summation of y squared, that is 129, ay 1,290,000, ay no, 1,290,500, ay, wait, 12,905,468. So, yun na siya. So, substitute na natin yan silang lahat and then simplify. Yung R value natin ngayon is equal to 0.882255. So, ayan siya. So, if you have questions for this one, you may simply PM me, no, sa Teams natin. Okay. So, after natin ma-solve yung ating test statistic or yung R value natin, we now should make a statistical decision. So, how can we make a statistical decision? So, there are two ways, no? First, decision rule using the critical value. So, kapag yung R daw natin is greater than the positive critical value or less than the negative critical value, so we just simply reject the null hypothesis. And there is a significant correlation sa dalawang variable natin. Ulit ha? Kapag yung R natin is greater than the positive critical value or less than sa negative critical value, there is a significant correlation or relationship and therefore reject the null hypothesis. So otherwise, we fail to reject the null hypothesis. And then kapag using yung p-value naman natin, suppose yung p-value natin is less than or equal to the set of significance level. So in that case, ang decision natin is to reject the null hypothesis. So otherwise, if ang p-value natin is greater than sa significance level natin, we fail to reject the null hypothesis. So ayan, no? So since we are able to solve for the Pearson's R or yung R value natin, which is 0.882255, and then yung critical value natin is 0.443763. So, since yung R natin is greater than the positive critical value, so therefore, yung decision natin is to reject null hypothesis. And then, there are significant relationship between two variables. Sundan ba? So, I hope nasundan, no? So, therefore, step 5, we need to conclude. So, yung conclusion natin ngayon is that there is a sufficient evidence to conclude that there is a significant positive relationship between the calcium intake and the knowledge about calcium in sports science students. So, that is for the Pearson's product moment correlation. So, actually, no, we could use two ways or pwede tayo magmano-mano mag-solve ng R or we could use yung Excel. So, using MS Excel, so I will just post a video din, no, para dito, a separate video din. So, yan. Okay, so that's for the Pearson's product moment correlation, and that is the first part of our lesson for this morning or afternoon or depende sa oras kung kailan mo to pinanood, no. So, if you have questions, kindly PM me lang, no. Okay, so let's proceed to the second part of our topic, no, which is the Spearman'S rank correlation. So here, meron naman siyang correlation, but before natin i-identify yung correlation is we need to rank, no, yung ating data. So, ano ba itong Spearman'S rank correlation? So, Spearman'S rank correlation coefficient is used if the two variables are measured on an ordinal or continuous scale. So, it is also assumed that there is a monotonic relationship between the two variables. So, ano bang monotonic? A monotonic relationship is a relationship where the variables tend to change together but not necessarily at a constant rate. So, doon sa Pearson product moment correlation kasi, ang relationship nila ng two variables tend to change together and it is in a constant rate. So, here, meron tayong graph, no, para sa Spearman'S correlation or Spearman'S rank correlation. So, ito yung different possible graph, no. So, as you can see, the variables might change but not in constant, no? So just like for this, ito na sa middle na graph natin. And then ito sa last one. Okay, so how can we solve for this one, or how can we use Spearman's rank correlation, and what are the steps? So these are the following step no, to test the hypothesis using Spearman's rank correlation. So first step, syempre, we need to state the hypothesis and set the level of significance or alpha level. So to state no, our null and hypothesis, this can be written as follows. So for the null, there is no significant rank order relationship between the two continuous variables. And for the alternative naman is there is a significant rank order relationship between the two continuous variables. So as you can see, different yung dalawa, no? Yung Pearson's moment correlation at saka Spearman's rank. Kung si Pearson R, Pearson product moment correlation, there is a significant relationship. Here sa Spearman's rank is that there is a no or significant rank order relationship. Okay, after that, calculate or identify the critical value. So the critical value requires the value of the alpha level and the sample size. So it can be found using Spearman's correlation table. So meron din tayong separate na handouts para sa Spearman's correlation table, no? And step 3, calculate the test statistic or the R sub S value. So before calculating yung ating test statistic, make sure to rank the observation in each variable. And then, given X and Y variables, the Spearman's correlation coefficient can be computed using the formula. So we have here the formula. R sub S is equal to 1 minus 6 times the summation of d squared over n cubed minus n, where n is the sample size, d naman are the difference between the ranks of the two variables, and the squares are just the squares of the difference of the ranks. Okay, so let's have an example now. Okay, step 4 muna, make a statistical decision. We could use yung critical value and then conclude tayo. So sa step 4, if the absolute value of the obtained RS is greater than the critical value, then reject the null hypothesis. And then if the absolute value of the obtained RS is less than the critical value, then the decision is to fail to reject and conclude that there is no rank order relationship between the two variables. So kapag yung test statistic natin or yung RS natin is greater than the critical value, reject the null hypothesis and conclude that there is a rank order relationship between the two. Otherwise, fail yung pag-reject ng null hypothesis, and then there is no rank order relationship between the two variables. So I hope nasundan pa, no? And laban lang tayo, class. Okay, so let's have an example here. So a researcher hypothesized that the store with fewer displayed number of fish have healthier fish. He then observed and rated the quality of fish on a 1 to 10 scale. The table shows the data collected. So here, we have different stores, and there are 12 stores, and then the number of fish displayed, which is X, and the rate of fish quality, that is for Y. Now, step 1, state the hypothesis and set the level of significance. So you may read it na lang, no? And then yung sinet natin na level of significance here is 0.05. And then calculate or identify the critical value. So yung n natin, which is yung number of sample size or yung number of population natin, is 12. And then using yung Spearman's rank na table, no? Distribution table. So we have here the critical value, which is equal to 0.587. Okay, so kung saan lang nag-intersect yung n natin at saka yung alpha level, yan yung ating critical value. I hope nakakuha, no? Then, step 3, calculate the test statistic or yung R sub S value natin. So, before natin ma-solve, no, ito siya, gawa muna tayo ng table. Same with sa Pearson's product moment correlation. So, since meron tayong first na given na yan, the store, the number of fish displayed, X, and then the rate of fish quality, which is Y, let's add another column for the rank para sa X natin at saka rank para sa Y. So, how can we rank this one? So, here, ang ginawa niya is, ang rank 1 niya is from mababa up to sa yung malaki yung value. So, since among sa mga values here, yung pinakamababa, which is 11, so therefore, yung rank niya is 1. And then, sundan niyan siya ng 17. So, since meron tayong dalawang 17, itong dalawa na ito is maglalaban sa second at saka sa third na place, di ba? So, kaya, kapag i-rank natin itong 17, itong dalawang 17, we have 3.5. So, paano natin na-obtain itong 3.5? Ay, meron pala. Sorry, hindi ko nakita. Merong 13. So, next to 11, which is 13. So, yung 13 is pang second. And then, ito 17, that is for the fourth, ay third at saka fourth na place. Okay? So, paano ba ito makuha? Paano naging 3.5 para sa 17? So, simply, we just need to add 3 at saka 4. Kasi, doon sila maglalaban, di ba? Yun yung dalawang place value or placing or ranking na kailangan makuha ng dalawa. So, 3 plus 4, that is 7, divide 2, so that is 3.5. So, kaya, sa dalawang variable natin or value natin, which is 17, yung rank nila is 3.5. Okay? So, followed by number 5, which is 20, and 6 natin, that is 21, 7, 22, 8, 24, 9, 31, at saka 10 natin is 32, 11 is 38, and then pang rank 12, C, 41. So, same with sa y natin, no? Yung variable natin which is yung sa y. So, yung nirank niya from lowest to highest. So, yung lowest natin dito for rank y, which is 3. So, since there are two variables or numbers na yung value nila ay 3, and then maglaban sila sa dalawang position, so that is 1 at saka 2. So, dapat iba first at saka second. So, since they have equal number, which is 3, so we need to add yung place, yung ranking nila, which is 1 at saka 2, and then divide natin sa dalawa. So, 1 plus 2, that is 3. 3 divide 2, that is equal to 1.5. So, kaya, sa rank natin for y, 3 at saka 3, we have 1.5 and 1.5. Then followed by the third, which is 5. And then sa fourth naman at saka fifth, meron din tayong dalawang variable, no? Or value na magkaparehas, that is 6. So, 4 at saka 5. So, 4 plus 5, that is 9. Divide 2. So, we have 4.5. Then followed by 6. So, same with sa 6 sa 6 at saka 7, we have for the 7 at saka 7 na value. So, kaya 6 plus 7, that is 13, divide 2, kaya 6.5 dyan. Hanggang sa makumpleto natin sila rank, no? Or matapos natin sila rank. Then, after natin ma-rank itong dalawang variable natin, syempre, hanapin natin yung difference nila. So, 10 minus 4.5, that is 5.5. 12 minus 3, that is 9. Hanggang sa maubos natin ito siya, no? Hanggang sa makarating tayo sa 12, which is 5 minus 8.5, that is negative 3.5. And after natin ma-solve yung difference nila, we need to look for the value nila na naka-square. So, 5.5 raised to 2, that is equal to 30.25 hanggang sa matapos natin hanggang sa last part. And then, after natin ma-solve, no, we need to add all this one. So, we have the summation of 531. Okay, nasundan ba? So, I hope nasundan. So, if you have question, just don't be shy to PM me sa ating teams. Okay? So, ayan. So, going back sa ating formula, so we have to calculate test statistic. So, Pearson's rank or R sub S is equal to 1 minus 6 times summation of D squared over N cubed minus N. So, since nasolve na natin yung D squared, no, that is 531, substitute na natin yan siya sa ating formula. And then, yung N naman natin, that is equal to 12. So, kaya, yung test statistic natin dito or yung R sub S natin or yung Spearman'S rank correlation coefficient natin is negative 0.857. Okay, so step 4, make a statistical decision. So, since the absolute value of the obtained RS is greater than the critical value, then we reject the null hypothesis. So, di ba, yung critical value natin is 0.557. So, regardless, no, kung ano yung sign ng ating test statistic, so, since yung nasolve natin na RS or R sub S is negative 0.857, so regardless the sign, So, since mas malaki siya, kaya compare sa critical value natin, so therefore, yung decision natin is to reject the null hypothesis. And then the remarks is that there is a significant rank order relationship. So, step 5 is syempre to conclude. So, conclusion natin para sa problem natin is that there is a sufficient evidence to conclude that there is a significant negative relationship between the number of displayed fish and its quality. And then the stores with fewer displayed fish have healthier fish than those stores with more displayed fish. So, that's it, no? That's how we solve for the Spearman's rank correlation. So, same with sa Pearson product moment, meron din tayong other way para ma-solve yung Spearman's rank, that is through MS Excel. So, I will just still post another or a separate video para dito. So, that's it, no? That's the end of our first topic or yung handout number 1 natin that talks about the correlation analysis, which is the Pearson product moment relation and then the Spearman's rank correlation. So, if you have questions, don't be shy to message me sa Teams, okay? So, I think that's the end. And as for your activity, just wait for the announcement na ipopost ko sa Teams natin. So, that's it now. I hope everyone is okay. I hope everyone is doing fine. So, have a great day, everyone, and stay healthy and stay safe. God bless and goodbye.